All right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. This is Ask a Clutter Boss, our episode for December 16th, 2025. It was brought to my attention last week that I missed Ask a Clutter Boss, and I am so deeply sorry for that. I actually had a frozen pipe in my house, and I was dealing with that, and the time just got away from me, and it just totally slipped my mind. That's just what happened. I will say on that note, having a frozen pipe in my house reminded me once again the benefits of decluttering, because what used to be massive emergency situations, anything that happened, any course of life situation, is now that I am decluttered, is now just so much easier to deal with. So that's the bright side of last week's story. This week I have a really, really powerful episode planned. Um, I also am pretty sick, so if I mute myself to cough, that's what's going on there. It's best if I don't laugh because that will also induce coughing. But we're gonna try and get through this with no coughs, and really have a short yet powerful, impactful episode for you today. If you're here live, please say hello in the comments. And we're going to talk about in this episode the one single question that completely changed my decluttering journey. I remember it so clearly, even though it was probably 16 years ago, maybe now. Um, I'm going to share this question with you because it was so impactful for me. The question is, how is staying exactly where you are benefiting you? How is it benefiting you to stay in your exact current situation? And when I first heard that question, when it was first asked of me, I was actually offended. I was like, it's not benefiting me to stay here at all. I hate this. I hate the way that I am living. I hate the way I'm showing up in my relationships. I hate I hate everything about what is happening right now. Like, I am not benefiting from this at all. But I was working with a fantastic coach, and she really helped. She talked me off the ledge and helped me dig into this question a little more. And it 100% changed the direction of my life. So when we look at this, when we think about this, how is it benefiting you staying where you are right now? We do not stay stuck for no reason. There is always a payoff. And again, you may be listening to this and having the same reaction I did at first. Like, it's not paying me off to be, there's no payoff for being overwhelmed or resentful. Like, there's no payoff here. Like, I'm suffering right now. But actually, there was a huge payoff for me, and when I got out of my own way and really thought about it and journaled about it, this is what I came up with. The payoff for me, staying stuck with my clutter, stuck with my relationships, stuck with all of it, was that at that time in my life, it justified the resentment that I felt. It justified my resentment. And being justified in my resentment meant that I could continue to be a martyr. I could stay on the moral high ground. It gave me a story, it gave me identity, it gave me a reason not to change things that felt uncomfortable or risky. It was totally benefiting me to stay stuck, totally benefiting me. And it felt safe. It felt safe in the way that safety is familiarity. Familiarity. I cannot, oh God, don't start coughing now. It was familiar. Feeling things familiar in your life, knowing the exact outcome of every single argument, of every single discussion, that is safety for our nervous system. We don't actually need to be in a good situation. We just need to be in a predictable situation. Having a predictable, familiar situation makes us feel safe, even if we are not happy. And that is something I really came to understand so powerfully. If you're just tuning in, we are talking about the number one question that changed the course of my life when I was working on my own clutter. And that was, how is staying in this situation benefiting you? I also have a cold. So if I pause and mute myself, it's just because I need to cough, which I need to do right now. So I had this whole story about being the martyr and doing everything and going to bed justified, feeling so resentful. Now, it's not that my resentment wasn't somewhat justified. There is a truth to every feeling that we feel. But I also read this other quote around that time when I was starting to understand my feelings of resentment. And maybe you're not feeling resentful, maybe you have a different feeling, but the point is the way that you're feeling that may be negative or uncomfortable, if you're not actively making an effort to change it, there is something in that situation that is benefiting you. And for me, the benefit was that I could justify my resentment, which could also mean that I could justify my martyrhood in my head. So as I started to understand what for me was resentment, and again, this might manifest as a different emotion or feeling for you. As I was beginning to understand resentment, I also read this other line, which you've probably heard me share it before because I talk about this a lot. Resentment, and I don't know where this came from. I've read it someplace. I wish I could source it, but I just don't know. Resentment is like taking a poisonous pill and expecting someone else to get sick. The person that was being harmed the most from being stuck in my patterns of resentment was me. But I was expecting those around me to fall down sick, right? So I was the only person who was getting hurt, but it was also benefiting me. And I had to really come to terms with all of this if I wanted to change anything. And I said I wanted to change it. I really felt like I wanted to change it, but was I willing to do the hard work? This is the hard work that we talk about. This is the hard work. Was I really willing to look at myself and ask hard questions and see my role in the situation that was not benefiting anyone? And so, my question to you is, are you willing to do quote unquote the hard work? Are you willing to see how staying stuck in your patterns is actually benefiting you? It's hurting you, but it's also benefiting you. And are you willing to push that fear aside and say, you know what? No matter what, I am going to work on this. I am going to make a change, even if that feels uncomfortable, if it's not familiar, if it challenges my identity. Around this time, I also heard another quote. Some quotes just stick with you. This other one was really good, and you may have heard it before. You don't get extra credit in heaven for suffering. You don't get extra credit in heaven for suffering. That is a choice that you are making that leads to zero payout. And suffering, it doesn't make you more loving, or staying stuck doesn't make you more worthy. That's a choice that you are making that mostly is just hurting you. And maybe also it's impacting the ones that you love also. So I'm going to ask you this same question. How is staying cluttered benefiting you? You're not benefiting from having more stuff to choose from. You're not benefiting for storing things just in case. Those are stories that we tell ourselves. We all know we could have 1% of what we own right now and be perfectly fine. So we know that that's not true. So how is staying cluttered? How is staying cluttered benefiting you? What is the hard work that you need to look at and ask yourself to move, to start to shift this in your life? Here are some common responses that I've heard over the years, or maybe observed over the years, working as a professional organizer when I ask people, how is staying cluttered benefiting you? Clutter gives you something to do instead of going out or putting yourself into a potentially uncomfortable social situation. It gives you a justification for saying no. It gives you a reason not to rest and to be the martyr. It gives you a cover for staying overwhelmed. It keeps you busy so you don't have to look at the bigger challenges underneath it. It protects you from difficult emotional times. And for some people, clutter protects or is an identity. And when you have an identity, it's something that you have assumed that feels very comfortable because you have been that person for such a long time. I'm the overwhelmed one. I am resentful and I'm so justified in it. I am bad at this. This is just how I am. How is it benefiting you to stay in this identity? Staying stuck often feels safer than changing because changing requires new boundaries, new conversations, and an updated version of you. When you can see how staying stuck is benefiting you, something incredibly powerful happens. You get a choice. You get a choice. You can choose to stay or in your cluttered situation with your cluttered habits, or you can choose to change. Clutter is not the problem, it's the signal. Clutter is not the problem. It is the signal. The real change does not start with more boxes, more bins, or a better organizational system. It starts with you being so honest with yourself that it's impossible after that to not change. It starts with you being so honest with yourself that it becomes impossible to not change in the face of that honesty. That's the important thing. So I want to ask yourself, and feel free to comment in the chat if you're watching this now, if you're watching this later, how is staying exactly how you are in your cluttered situation? How is that benefiting you? And this can be a hard question. This is a do the work question. How is it benefiting you? And am I willing to give up that benefit to start creating something better? Was I willing to give up martyrdom to start building something better? Yes, I was. And I thank God for that every single day because what I have pushed through has changed my life in so many ways that it's actually become my life's work for other people to help them walk down this path for other people because it is so incredibly powerful. So I'm going to end this stream right now before I have a coughing fit, but I just want to ask you one more time. How are you benefiting from staying in your situation? Your difficult, sucky situation. How is that benefiting you? And what would it look like if you did the hard work, asked the hard questions, and pushed yourself out of that comfort zone of familiar outcomes? How could that change your life? Because you're worth it. You're worth it. But the only one who can do the work is you. All right, my friends, sending you all so much love. Here to hold your hand every step of the way. If you are ready to do this work and you want a team to support you, that is what we do at Clutter Boss. Reach out to us. Change is possible. 2026 could be your year. Put your money where your mouth is, invest in yourself and not more stuff, and start to see an incredible life unfold. All right. Lots of love. Bye, everyone.